Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the UV Networks webinar on the advanced features of UVexplorer. We're going to get started now. Just a way of introduction, my name is Paul Katzoff. I am the VP of Sales here at UVexplorer. Joining me today is Brian Kap. He is one of our product specialists and has over 20 years experience in the network mapping space. As way of agenda goes, we are going to start with an introduction of UVexplorer and UV Networks, and then get directly into the advanced features of UVexplorer. This should take 25 or 30 minutes for the full webinar, and we'll have a short Q&A following the demonstration. So UV Networks was founded in 2015. We have two main products. One is UVexplorer, the other is UVexplorer Server. And just a way of history on our team, our dev team actually created the network mapping tools for Visio, Altiris, and for WhatsUpGold. So when you use UVexplorer, you're actually using a very mature and experienced product. UVexplorer is a detailed layer 2 asset discovery solution. We are Windows based, and we use your SNMP, SSH, WMI, Telnet, and other credentials to discover your network and provide this to you in a visual layout. We also provide configuration management. This includes configuration backup scripts from routers, switches, and firewalls. We can also notify you of changes to these configurations and provide you with a difference, display the differences between the configurations if there are changes. UVexplorer Server is our on-premise web UI. It actually sits above multiple UVexplorer agents that are installed on different networks. It then provides you a single interface to view and manage all of these different networks and UVexplorer's performance on these different networks. UVexplorer Server also provides RBAC, or role-based access control. This allows you to provide access to internal employees, to management, administrators, and to your clients. Okay, we're going to go directly into the demo now with Brian Kap. During this demo, if you have any questions, please submit it through the WebEx panel. We'll get to the Q&A at the end of this webinar, and if we need to run over and answering questions, we do have time for that today. Brian, I'll pass it to you.
Okay, so for those of you that are unfamiliar with UVexplorer, what you're seeing here is the startup page. We're going to skip the discovery process today and jump right into some of the more detailed features of the product. But ultimately, every scan that we do can be captured as an independent discovery result. And as you can see here, we can have multiple results that we can open at any time. So if I go into our catalog of discovery results, and I'm going to go ahead and open this up, you get a device listing here of all different devices that we found during the discovery in their categories, and then the listings here. Obviously, part of the core value of UVexplorer is that it can automatically build detailed topology maps of the interconnections between all of your network infrastructure and right to your end nodes. We do that across any switching vendor, and also detail access points, wireless clients, and end nodes. So you can dive into these features as part of UVexplorer, but ultimately we wanted to kind of jump into a few things that kind of go unseen as far as the product itself. If we jump over into our tools area, with the topology discovered, we can use things like IPMAC Finder that will help us find any IP address or device on the network. You can manually type in an IP address and then hit Find IP, and it will show you everywhere that IP address is active, and what type of siting it is. Like you can see that this device, is recognized as the individual owner of that device, but this IP address is seen in lots of different ARP caches. Actually, it's my discovery machine, so that's why it's being seen pretty much across the board. But if I type in a different IP address, I may just see where that is. But along with those devices, we can actually go in and, sorry, go ahead and go to all my devices. I can select this device, and you can see that this device was discovered with an IP and a MAC address, and I can go ahead and try to find that MAC across the whole network. So in real time, I can see everywhere that MAC address is seen, and also detail where it is actually connected to the network. So that's a key feature of UVexplorer, is that you can take the discovery results that you have saved and actually search for different devices and IPs, MACs across your entire infrastructure. Another part of that is also you can do layer 2 tracing. So we can use our topology model to jump into tracing out. For example, if say you have an access point and you want to find out maybe something's going wrong on that device and you want to trace it across the network here. By simply picking the two devices, we can see the path that you can traverse from one device to the other. And along with that, we actually have some simple test tools here that you can live ping and check the interface statuses of those devices. So if you're having connectivity issues or anything like that, you can come into UVexplorer, enter the two devices that you're looking for, and it will trace across the network and give you a quick status of whether you could reach it, and the interface statistics or the status on those connections. This is a great way to trace out maybe a connectivity issue and see where the break might be. Maybe that connectivity issue is way downstream and the connectivity comes upstream a lot further. You can quickly assess that and determine the next steps. Along with those, some other tools that are just generally available in different types of little widgets across network applications. DNS testing, you can simply come in and do a quick test of your DNS resolution by typing in an IP range and quickly assessing what might, what's responding and what the DNS names are across your network. You can do scanning as far as port scanning. So if I wanted to see what devices of my discovery result are actually running SSH, I can come in and select these devices, hit scan. This will just take a second here. And we will report back all the devices. You see, here's all the ones that are closed. Here's all the ones that are open. You can kind of look at that from a security point of view. You may see devices that are responding to SSH that shouldn't. You can go ahead and resolve that issue. Or one thing that we've seen users using as far as UVexplorer is, for example, maybe they want to determine how many devices are still running Telnet. So you can just pick the Telnet port and then run a quick scan, and you can see all my devices that are still running Telnet, which in our test lab we're pretty generous as far as what ports we have open, but you can go ahead and try to resolve those port connections. Along with that, you can see here that we have start versus run and capture config buttons. One of the key features of UVexplorer is that during any discovery, you can go ahead and attach credentials to the discovery settings, and it will capture the startup and running configuration. These quick tools here can go ahead and give you an assessment of what devices may or may not have configurations captured and what their status is as far as differences and between the startup and the running configuration. You can also, I'm going to go ahead and open up a different result because this one was not scanned for configurations, but I can go ahead and open up a old result here and look for my start versus run. And I can get this report. And if I wanted to do a real-time capture right now, I just simply hit capture, and it's going to run a quick backup of both the startup and running configurations of the devices in this discovery result. And then we can go ahead and you can see some of these are not, you get an error report based on whether you have credentials to connect to those devices, or you may also get a report that tells you the differences between a lot of these are actually completed, and then you can again go back and look at the differences here on all the devices and drill into them. So you can quickly run your backups of your running and startup configurations, and then all those configurations are actually attached to the devices that we were pulling them from in our discovery. So you can see the running configuration here. You can go back and do comparisons over time, so you can see what changes have been made to different configurations and do an assessment. And these configurations actually can be attached or captured as part of our discovery results, or one of the key features of UVexplorer is that you can set up a monitor to monitor your configurations. This monitor here is set up to capture just the running configurations. You can specify which devices you want to capture those on, what type of schedule you want to do that on, every 60 minutes, every once a day, and then what type of events you want to be notified on. You can log those events, you can send email, you can actually even push those events into one of our partner products, PRTG, so that you can stay on top of all your configurations on your network devices and be notified when those things are changed, and also capture the history of those changes. Those configurations are captured as part of the discovery results, and those histories will be, as you can see here on this device right here, you can see these running configurations through all the time that we run these monitors, and you can go back and do comparisons. You can actually view those configurations and actually save them out for either you can restore or you can do comparisons against from one side to the other, as far as I want to compare different running configurations over time. You can say this one like is a banner change. We can go to this one, see if we can find one that's a little bit less extreme. Looks like this one only changes on this one is a banner, but all those configurations can be captured and viewed for reporting differences. Now you can also, along with this in our tool area, we provide some other simple tools like a simple MIB Walker. This tool is very valuable in testing whether your devices are enabled for SNMP, and can be tested really quickly here just to make sure the devices support, responding to SNMP. Those are critical because of in our mapping technology, we need to be able to talk to the devices via SNMP. So getting a device that is not responding to SNMP, you can use the MIB Walker to kind of test some of those things out. You can set up any IP address, pick any credential that you have set, and go ahead and test those devices. Let's see. One thing that was just been recently added to the product itself is in the configuration management side is the ability to use SNMP rights to manage different aspects of your device configuration. For example, we've had a lot of requests as far as being able to use tools like SNMP to manage things like the aliases that are on ports, enabling and disabling a port, or managing the PoE of a particular interface. For example, say you have some type of device that's connected to your switch that, obviously you can't run across campus or across the states to actually reboot that device. So you can use the PoE status to actually turn that port on and off. So we can do that now. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and go back to my previous results. Nope. And I can go to a switch, for example. And if I was like, for example, if I wanted to just change the IF alias on this device, I can just go ahead and hit to update it, say yes. And then that alias is already updated in the device. I can also enable or disable that port. I can manage the PoE on that device and go ahead and turn that port off if it supports PoE. Along with that, though, we can also manage VLANs on particular ports. So you can change access VLANs and their voice VLAN, and also edit trunks. So if you wanted to go ahead and edit the VLANs that are being trunked on this port, you simply right-click on that device, pick the PVID and the tag ports, hit update, and that will automatically change that configuration of that device. Makes it really simple for you or any administrator to not have to go into command line mode just to change the connection of a port. We support that across switch vendors. And if they support 802.1q, or we do a lot of proprietary things like for Cisco and other vendors, you can actually just, by using this simple UI, you can just go ahead and make those modifications. Going back to our toolbar, there's lots of other little key widgets here, like CPU load testing. Actually, if you go to any group inside of the UVexplorer UI, you can actually bring up our little tools. Like, for example, if you want to go ahead and test these devices for response, and you can go into a group like the switches, and you can see all these devices are, I'm essentially pinging all these devices to see what their current status is. We partner with other products and actually build our own monitors that do this long term. But UVexplorer can be a great tool as far as diving in and assessing the state of your network. So this is ping. You can do things like, I want to do tools like polling the CPU. So if I wanted to start all this right here, I can actually quickly talk to all these devices and pull their CPU loads. You can see which devices are being really heavily hit on the network in a really quick manner. And then finally, before we get to questions, there's a few things here added here to the toolbar. Jack lookup, room lookup. We've actually done a recent integration with a product called Patch Manager that allows you to automatically connect our discovery information to your wired infrastructure, so you can actually go in and look up different connections based on your campus, building, and Jack label, and actually see which ports of your infrastructure are actually connected to that. You can look up by room. You can actually find any host on your network. Like, you can say, I want to find out where this guy is. You can look at it, and then so there we go. This one's actually going to tell you exactly which port that device is connected to, switch, IP, port, VLAN. And if we were actually tied into a reporting patch manager, you'd actually see the jack in the room where that device is. So it's a great add-on to UVexplorer for the integration between an infrastructure management system and our dynamic topology engine.
All right, well, we're going to wrap up our presentation. Thank you, everyone, for joining this webinar. If you do have any more questions or would like to find out more about UVexplorer, please reach out to myself or Brian Kap. We have our information on the screen right now. Happy to help you, take you through UVexplorer. It's a very mature, established product, and once you get in and start using it, you'll really find it as a lifesaver on that network management piece side on your side. So thank you everyone for joining, and have a great day.